Hi, welcome to Gene Rants. I'm Gene. In a moment, I'll be turning the floor over to someone else to explain something. Well, I wonder if you've had this problem. I've had this problem. We're all human. We're kind of wired the same way. And it's where you see a problem or you have a question and you know the answer instinctively in your head, but you just can't put it into words. You cannot say exactly what the problem is. So then it's hard to deal with it because you know there's a problem there, but you can't quite put it into words. So if you can't state the problem, how do you deal with it? And the problem I've had is why it seems so hard these days because this wasn't happening when I was younger. Liberals and conservatives so hard, and Republicans and Democrats, so hard for them sometimes to debate, especially the wokeists, the really woke left, the Karens. How it's impossible, or it feels like it's impossible, to have a respectful conversation with them. And I could never. Why exactly is that? Because that wasn't a problem when I was younger. Somebody must be doing something differently these days than then, and I could not put it into words until his name is Nick Freitas, and he has the same problem. He believes that he figured out what the problem is, and you've seen it a million times on TV, right, where you have a liberal and a conservative, and they just kind of talk past each other. And 99, I won't be disputed on this. 90% of the time, and this has happened to me in personal conversations, a liberal will constantly interrupt the conservative, if the conservative is saying something that the liberal doesn't like, the liberal will interrupt so that you can't hear what he's saying. I've had that where I remember it wasn't a discussion with liberal. Every 2 words he would interrupt with a fact, blah, 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 and he would come in with a fact that wouldn't be true, but he would just say something and then cut me off. I'd say 2 more words and he would just cut me off over and over. Impossible to speak with him. I don't know how many of you have run into this problem, but I will say that, I was going to say, my personal experience has been that conservatives are more willing to listen to liberals than liberals are to listen to conservatives. And actually there was, and that could be a reason why there was a poll, more than one poll, at least 2 that I've seen, not recently, but where they questioned liberals to say, what do conservatives, they would put out a question and say, how would a conservative answer this question? And then ask conservatives, how would a liberal ask this question? And the conservatives overwhelmingly got right what they said the conservative would say, how they would answer the question. And I have to believe that's because the conservative listens to liberals and hears the liberals and so knows what they believe about something. And liberals do not return the favor, so they just say, well, actually, he touches on that in this video that I'm going to show you, but he's run into this same problem, the difficulty, if not near impossibility, if not even with some people, as I'll explain after the video, with some people it's impossible to hold conversations. So here's Nick.
Well, I think I'm finally able to define what it is I've been experiencing for close to 10 years now whenever I get into a conversation with someone who is woke. Now, I don't mean someone who's liberal. I mean someone who is proudly woke. You see, I'm trying to debate and they are trying to diagnose. Let me give you an example. Let's say I were to say something crazy like, I'm open to immigration. I just think it should be legal. I also think we need a strong border and we need significant immigration reform before we continue. Oh, so you're xenophobic. No, I don't have an irrational fear or hatred toward other people or cultures, but I do believe that culture matters. And if you're coming from a cultural tradition which has very, very different customs, traditions, and legal standards than the United States, well, that might not be the best for social cohesion, especially when it comes in the form of mass illegal immigration. Oh, so you're racist. No, I don't believe in the inherent superiority or inferiority of any person based off of their race. I think people should be judged based off of their individual actions and character. But let me give you an example to clarify my position. If you were to mass import people from a country where they believe that it's perfectly reasonable to criminally prosecute women for showing their hair in public, that might not lead to the best blending with American society. You get what I mean? Oh, yeah, so you're Islamophobic. Okay, I see what you're doing now. This is not about even trying to understand my arguments or perspective. This is all about trying to incorrectly diagnose me so you can then ignore all of my arguments and perspectives. And if that's what you're going to do, what's the point in talking to you?
Now, you can agree with me or disagree with me. My personal experience, Nick has it exactly right. And now from my personal experience, I had one old friend that, we were friends in college, and then I moved away. We lost touch, and then there was a website where you can get in touch. Try to find people, old friends, people that you haven't seen in a while. And I managed to get in touch with her. We used to, go to movies together, go out together. She was once a wait. I was a bartender, and she was a waitress in the bar. That's how we met. And since then, though, so she said I'll give you the exact conversation. When we were talking about old times, blah, blah, blah. Then she said, well, I have a PhD in socialism. And I was born in Detroit, right? And I said, well, that's the great, that's a great thing about living in Detroit. She still lived there. I had moved to New York at the time. And I said, well, that's a great thing about Detroit. If you want to know how the failures of liberalism, you just got to walk out the door. And I got an angry email back. Don't contact me anymore. She broke off the conversation. Now I have another old dear friend. Actually, I see her. I live in Tennessee now. I lived in New York for many years. As I've mentioned many times, I go back to visit every. At least once a year I've been going back. I try to go back twice a year. I go back when she's there. I time my visits to meet her. So if I can meet her, then I'm going back, and then I see other people also. But anytime we get into a political discussion, it's gotten to the point that we just don't talk about politics. I just don't, because then it turns into an argument, and we are very good friends when we're not talking about politics. The reason why I can't talk about politics with her is exactly what he was Nick Freitas was talking about in that video, which is that because she patronizes me, she thinks my views are quaint, that I'm crazy to believe doesn't discuss the issues. You can't discuss it because I'm being talked down to. It's obvious. So I just said, well, it's obvious you don't respect my views. You think I'm crazy. So there's no sense talking about certain issues, and we don't. But that's it. So Nick really has it. And so what do you do going forward? And the solution is obvious. Since we're in a democracy, that is for everybody to, conservatives to understand that liberals are always going to think you're crazy and you're a waste of time. Liberals will always think, from their point of view, think that a conservative will never, just don't respect conservatives' views. So no sense of either of them talking. But fortunately, we live in a democracy. The solution is obvious. We have elections, and just go out and vote your conscience, and that's it. And the chips fall where they may, except don't. And this will probably be covered in future vlogs, as we all know. All these documents surfacing about how the Democrats tried to, first of all, they concocted a fake collusion scheme between Donald Trump and the Russians to make Trump president, and to prevent him from being elected. And then after he won, between the time he was won the election and took office, from November to January, to put into place the machinery to sabotage his election, which his presidency, which they succeeded in doing pretty much for 2 years. And then COVID hit, and that kind of finished, hurt him even more. But remember, in fact, I think I will cover this in a future vlog, but we had Robert Mueller special counsel, 2 years of investigation, constantly, almost every day, constant drumming by the liberal media of this false story over and over. So that's the one request I would make of my liberal friends. If the Republicans win, well, first of all, if the Republicans don't use underhanded, dishonest means to prevent them from winning. Just argue. As I've said many times, I've repeated this quote from Margaret Thatcher: first win the argument, then win the election. Just do that. Stick to your arguments. And if your arguments fail and you lose the election, then just try again next time and continue making the argument. Trump, like it or not, he is president for the next 3.5 years. Then there will be another election. You've got 3.5 years to make your argument, to respectfully argue why we should elect a Democrat next time, or a liberal, or a socialist, or whoever the heck you want. So there you go. That's it for today. Your comments always welcome in the comment section below the video. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I'd love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.